Welcome to this budget special edition of myviewon, a series of podcasts where experts in the industry give their personal view on some of the big topics making waves in the media. All of the views are the experts' own, providing a fresh look at key issues facing the financial industry. Now, the Chancellor, George Osborne, has delivered his 8th budget to the House of Commons today. It's a budget that's been described largely as one for savers. And with me to discuss this is Paul Speight from James Hay. Paul, a budget for savers, is that how you see it?
Perhaps we would be best looking at what he hasn't done first rather than what he has done. So whether it's a budget for savers or not, the big fear was that in order to plug the much vaunted black hole in his finances, he was going to attack pensions tax relief. Of course, we've had a lot of commentary that's come through that said that he was not going to do it. He'd done this big U-turn, but I think a few of us were still holding our breath, waiting to see whether indeed he would attack pensions. And unless there's some great reveal in the detail, which our chaps will be poring over at the moment, he's left them alone. So pensions tax relief looks exactly as it did today, as it will do after April.
And he made that announcement that he wasn't going to introduce those measures about a week or so before. That's because he was coming under a lot of pressure from people not to do so.
That's right. And not least of all, of course, the pensions industry, which was crying out for a period of stability so that people could have confidence that saving into their pensions would reflect what they expected to get, as opposed to the rules constantly changing and wondering whether or not that was the right thing for them to do. So now we've got a budget for savers. I think I'd by and large agree with that, and we can certainly cover the details as and when they come out, but the headlines look quite attractive for the saving generation.
And one of those headlines is this new lifetime ISA, which sounds very exciting. Another bold statement from the Chancellor as regards ISA products. Take us through that.
Well, one of the things that he alluded to even in his speech was that people engage with their ISAs. Now, whether or not you necessarily agree with that statement, there is a general consensus that people understand ISAs and therefore they're happy to invest in them. Now, the LISA, the Lifetime Savings ISA...
LISA, is that what we're going to be calling it now?
I think LISA may well stick. Certainly that's the idea. I think one of the things about the new Lifetime Savings ISA is that you have that as a broader package of the ISA changes he has made. And you may recall that in one of the earlier podcasts we did, we asked if they were going to take down the amount that could be paid into pensions. Maybe we increase the ISA allowance. Well, actually, he's done that. So the ISA allowance has gone up to £20,000, of which you're able to save £4,000 into a lifetime version of it. Now, what's interesting about the Lifetime Savings ISA is that it's available for those up to the age of 40. So it's attracting the younger generation to save. And the bit that I'm particularly interested in is, you may recall there was an opportunity that Gordon Brown, of all people, introduced where they thought about you being able to invest in property inside your pension, residential property. And then right at the last minute, he did a U-turn. Now, George Osborne is saying, well, actually, your Lifetime Savings ISA can be used not just for retirement, but also to buy your home.
So this is a much more flexible approach to saving for the future that the Chancellor is introducing, something that feels a little bit like a pension and feels a little bit like a more conventional savings product.
That's right. So it's definitely going to appeal to the younger generation. The amounts that you can save in are going to be relatively small. So £4,000 in, the government adds £1,000. So £5,000 a year of your £20,000. Now, will it appeal to the younger generation? Well, why not? Why not? We've got to Help to Buy ISA. This looks like an extension of that. And then you can access it not at 55, as you would a pension, but 60. If you take it before then, there's a penalty unless you buy your property. Again, look, to be honest, at this point, so fast after the budget, the details will be analysed and our technical teams themselves will be issuing a much more detailed brief once those details have come out. But on the face of it, good, and it's running alongside pensions. So this isn't instead of pensions and tax relief, this is in addition. So it's an additional payment that can be made towards your long-term savings.
And of course, the MPs in the House of Commons will be debating this over the next couple of days as well. Tell me, The other standout aspects of this budget as it relates to savers as well, the other changes that he's made to the more regular ISAs that we all know and cherish.
Well, that's right. So the ISA allowance has gone up to £20,000. But the other piece for me, particularly for those that are over 50 and are really saving towards their retirement, they'll have that in mind, as most of the surveys show, is this drop in capital gains tax. That's great because, for a lot of people, he's particularly said that this is not aimed at second properties, so those rates will stay as they are. But for those people who have perhaps used their pension allowance, and we know that we've got this tapered annual allowance coming in from April, reducing the amount of pension tax relief that can be claimed by high earners, those group have probably also used up their ISA allowances. Great, they can pay an additional sum into their ISA, fabulous. But they can also invest in their general investment account, their share portfolios, whatever it may be, in the knowledge that actually the tax that they might pay on any gains has been reduced.
So, final thoughts on the Chancellor's statement for this budget, Paul. A budget for savers. Anything else that's stood out for you?
Well, yeah, definitely a budget for savers. It looks like we've got some reforms for NI, national insurance that's being paid, particularly for the self-employed. But there was also reference to closing a large number of tax loopholes, particularly for large corporations. And this idea that he's done a budget for savers, for shopkeepers, for road builders, by the sounds of it. And the only question I would have, just as a casual throwaway, is so much of this seems to be being paid for by the LIBOR fines. I'm slightly concerned how deep that reservoir is that we're diving into.
So perhaps the Chancellor knows something that the rest of us don't there, Paul. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. And of course, the James Hay technical team will be poring over the finer details of the budget and delivering a report over the next couple of days.